I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by the director of Doctor Strange, which is in cinemas today, Scott Derrickson. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, Scott, let's just talk quickly about the character Doctor Strange. Who is he and what makes him different to sort of the other Marvel characters we've seen before?
Well, he starts off as a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, top neurosurgeon in New York, and very self-absorbed guy, egomaniac, and he is in a car accident that ruins his hands and takes away his profession, his identity, and he goes on a search for healing, and that search leads him into a world of sorcery and mysticism and other dimensions and all kinds of psychedelic stuff.
Yeah, it's a crazy journey that he goes on.
Yeah, it is.
And the visuals in the movie are unlike anything I've seen ever.
Yeah.
It's been described as the weirdest Marvel film yet. Was that your intention when you set out to make it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was very clear. In fact, I remember telling Kevin Feige that I thought there should be a good 5 or 6 set pieces in the movie, and that every one of those set pieces should be the weirdest set piece in any other movie. And so we tried to make every action scene unique and unusual and mind trippy.
They certainly are. I mean, what was the starting point for imagining those visuals?
The starting point was to not repeat anything that we had seen before, and to draw from those early Stan Lee, Steve Ditko comics, which were themselves really weird and psychedelic and progressive, and we just wanted to bring audiences a new kind of movie. I feel like visual effects are used way too often to do the same thing, which is just mass destruction. And how many event movies can I see where what I'm witnessing is just mass destruction after mass destruction, gunfights, explosions, and I feel like the most compelling visual effects movies that I've seen use effects to do things that are more creative and original, and audiences want to be surprised. I want to be surprised, so we tried to surprise them.
Were there any points where you were like to the visual effects guys, rein it back in, it's gone too far?
No, we kept pushing the boundaries, and it was almost like we crossed a point of no return where we just realized, hey, the weirder we get, the better it's going to be.
Benedict Cumberbatch obviously plays Dr. Stephen Strange, and he just inhabits that role. Was it always him that you had in mind for this part?
Yeah, he was the one guy we wanted from the very beginning, and I flew to London from LA and met with him, and he wanted to do the role, but he was committed to doing Hamlet, and we were a summer release movie, so it didn't work. And I went to New York and back to LA and met with lots of actors. And I just ended up going back to Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, and saying, it's got to be Benedict. He's just the guy. He has a quality that is very unique, and I felt necessary for this movie. And Kevin, to his credit, moved the release date from summer to fall so that we could get Benedict.
And there was talk of, Joaquin Phoenix getting quite far down the line. Did that ever get close enough to know, like costumes or anything like that, or was that just something that?
No. There was nobody else who ever really got that close.
Tell us about where Doctor Strange fits in terms of the Marvel timeline, because there's a reference to him in Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. So are we saying that his sort of story starts before then, or?
Well, no, the Winter Soldier reference is really just a matter of recognizing his incredible aptitude. He's got a photographic memory, which is an incredibly rare thing.
Right.
But he's not a sorcerer at that point. So the movie that you're watching, leads up. By the time you've gone through his journey and you're into the second half of the movie, it's present day.
If we're looking at present day now, and we're looking forward to Doctor Strange mixing with other Marvel heroes in the future, do you think he's going to be sort of more Team Cap or Team Iron Man? Because obviously that side of things is very much divided at the moment.
Oh, I think Doctor Strange will always be on his own team. It's part of what I liked about him in the comics is that he would have interactions and episodes and situations where he would deal with the Avengers and different characters, but part of what makes Doctor Strange is that he stands in a very lonely position. He is the gatekeeper between our world and other dimensions, and so he doesn't really stand on anyone's side other than the side of protecting our world from the malevolent threats that only he can protect the world from.
We know in the comics he does sort of form alliances with the wider Illuminati. Is that something we see down the line maybe for Doctor Strange? Is that something you'd like to see?
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think that part of him and his future development becomes very interesting in the comics, and but that all falls under the under the guidelines of Kevin Feige. He's the Sorcerer Supreme when it comes to the chessboard of how these movies fit together. But in terms of the Iron Man Cap schism, I don't know. I only made this movie. All I can say is if he does choose sides, I'm Team Cap.
I've got some questions come in now live from Facebook. Karen would like to know what it's like making a movie on a Marvel budget. It must be quite different from your horror days.
Yes and no. It's funny when you make a movie. Sinister was $3 million, and obviously this is as big as movies get, and they all have the same problems. You never have enough money, you never have enough time. I think the biggest difference, though, is the duration of the project. The scale of a movie like this demands so much pre-production, and then production, there's so many things that you're juggling, and so there's a lot more work involved. You work a lot longer hours. You have to struggle to keep the focus of the movie where it needs to be, especially on performances and characters. And then post-production is even longer, building all these visual effects sequences. So the biggest difference is the length of time you spend piecing it all together. But otherwise, filmmaking is filmmaking, storytelling is storytelling. You tend to succeed or fail based on the same things.
And craft services must be a bit better though.
Yeah, we had pretty good craft services on this movie, I won't lie.
So how long have you been making this film for now? And what was sort of the most difficult process?
Almost 2 years now. I think the most difficult process on this movie was, not allowing the ambition of our visual effects, which were extreme, to overshadow the deeper thematic ideas that I was interested in and the emotional qualities of the character. When I was about to start shooting, I wrote on the cover of my screenplay, I wrote, "It's a mind trip action movie about one man overcoming himself." Because I wanted to not lose focus of that. I knew that I was going to end up making a mind trip action movie because these big, huge, expensive visual effects scenes that took months to shoot and months to build in post-production, those were going to be the things I had spent all of pre-production designing. But it's very easy when you're executing that in production to lose focus on the intimacy of performances between characters and to lose focus on the fact that it's a story about one guy. It's a story about Doctor Strange and how he transforms and how he changes as a character. And I think I was wary enough of that I didn't fall into that pitfall. But again, only because every morning I would read that on the front of my script before I would read the pages that we were going to shoot. So I was always reminding myself to take those performance scenes as seriously or more seriously than anything technical that I was doing on the movie.
Another question that's come in here from Facebook. This is from Michael Robert Olson. He wants to know, did any of the other Marvel heroes visit the set? Did anyone come along poking the nose in?
Oh, that's a good question. I visited the Civil War set, actually, so it was the other way around. That's where I met Robert Downey Jr. when I popped in there for a day in Atlanta. But we were shooting in London, so I don't remember anybody from any of the other movies coming by. Directors came by, the Russos stopped by, and we're all friends. All the Marvel directors all become friends, and I would speak to them on occasion. But we were a little out of everybody's way, I think, at that point.
In another dimension, you might say.
And Ryan Johnson came from the Star Wars set.
Interesting.
And visited us.
So did you get to return the favour?
No, because he as soon as I finished, I needed to get home and get to work, so I never did make it to the Star Wars set.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Another question here. With Benedict, obviously we all love him here in the UK.
Yeah.
How did he get his American accent? I mean, was that something that you worked on together? Or was that something he sort of brought to set?
No, he just did it himself. He's very good with accents, and he had a coach there, to listen and watch his accent, but she needed to step in very rarely. He really had it down, and was so natural at it, and I have a pretty sensitive ear to it. I never caught him slipping. He's gifted at that. He's actually a gifted mimic. He can mimic anyone in any accent in the most uncanny way. So
he's very good. Does very good impressions. I know I've seen him do that before.
Yeah.
Tell us about the sequel. Is there anything talk about that yet? Just is it something you'd be interested in making?
I'd be very interested in making, but we gotta see how this movie does first. Can't put the cart before the horse. I hope it does well, and I hope there's going to be a Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. I certainly want to see that.
I don't know where you're going to, improve the visuals though. Like you're going to have to, break the machine, I think, to get it any more out there.
I don't know, because it's we did a lot of in this movie, and we innovated special effects. There were things that were invented for this movie, but the Doctor Strange comics are quite a deep reservoir of extreme ideas. So I don't think we'll be running out of originality.